Good morning, students, and welcome to Wednesday, March 25th. As you can tell, we are still doing our lessons on YouTube, but we hope to see you all back soon on Monday, April 6th. So let's go ahead and get started. So think about your best life in terms of your life at home with your family. Think about your best life in terms of what you'll do for work in the community. Think about your best life for what you're going to do for more education when you leave post-high. And think about your best life for what you're going to do for leisure and recreation in your community. So some things to think about and be mindful of. Okay, we are working on etiquette. I can explain, use, and think about etiquette. This is our success criteria. I will know I can do this when I can define, describe, role play, and critique about how etiquette affects my self-determination. Today we're going to define and list the parts of etiquette. This is our quote of the day. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So listen one more time. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Etiquette is also called manners. Etiquette is simply what you do to ensure that everyone feels respected. You know, I think a lot of us, when we hear the word etiquette, think about fancy things like a tea party or a formal dinner. And it can be like that, but it doesn't have to be. Etiquette is not necessarily the way you hold your pinky when you're drinking. It's not necessarily where you put your napkin at dinner time, and it's not even always saying please and thank you. There are no magic rules when it comes to etiquette. How you act depends on the people, the place, and the time. And if everyone feels respected, then you displayed good etiquette. You had good manners. So think about some of the differences. Think about how your etiquette might change for the time and the place. So if you're having a birthday party for a 5-year-old, you might take the 5-year-old, you might toss them in the air, you might sing them happy birthday with lots of kazoo noises and lots of silliness. And that would be appropriate for the time and the place. But what about for a 90-year-old grandma? I don't think you'd toss grandma in the air and catch her and put her on your knee and say, she's a big girl now. That'd be a little silly, right? So the way you acted just depends on the time and the place and the people. There are no one set of magic rules how to do this. So think about this. Think about a formal tea party, maybe with the Queen. So if you're having tea with the Queen, pinkies up, right? But what about if you're having a Philadelphia Super Bowl party? Okay. Think about your manners if you go to church, at church. Contrast that to a dance party with young people your age. So think about that. What are some of the different manners are appropriate for the time and the place? If you're going to a tea party with the Queen, you're probably not going to paint your face in red and blue, right? So you would display a different set of manners. But that would be totally appropriate if you were to go to a Super Bowl party. Okay, on your self-advocacy starter on your circle map, I want you to write 5 manners in the middle. And I want you to think of examples, okay? So when you do this by yourself, think of 5 manners, 5 examples that would be helpful. So I wrote down some general ones like kindness and polite, but I want you to think of 5 specific manners. How would you fold your napkin? Okay. How would you use polite words? So try to give me more specific examples. I wrote down some general ones to help you think. How would you shake hands with someone new? How would you put your napkin in your lap? How would you hold your fork and knife? How would you say please and thank you? Those could be specific manners. Okay, here are some new definitions, new vocabulary. Etiquette. Etiquette is nothing more than this. It's the attitudes, behaviors, and skills you use in a setting to make sure everyone feels respected. It's nothing more than the attitudes, behaviors, and skills you use in a given setting to make sure everyone feels respected. Setting is the place something happens, okay? If you go to school in a classroom, that's a setting. If you go to a baseball game, that's a setting. If you go to church, that's a setting. If you go to a club activity outside of school, that's a setting. If you go to a birthday party with your friend, that's a setting. And the type of manners you use, the type of etiquette, just depends on the setting. Okay, respected. Respected is a feeling of worth. So in what you do, if you convey, if you show the other person in a way they appreciate that you have respect for them, and they feel respected because of your attitudes, behaviors, and skills, you did a good job. So if I'm at a family party and I eat barbecue chicken wings with my fingers, that might be okay. But I probably shouldn't eat the food with my fingers if I'm at a formal dinner. What I do just depends on the setting and the time and the place and the people I'm with. So there isn't one set of rules. You have to look, you have to edit your behavior and your understanding, and then you have to make some choices. What are the right manners for this condition? What are the right manners for the time and place I'm in? On your mindfulness starter, on your definitions chart, I want you to define in your own words, so not using my definitions, using your own word choices, define etiquette, setting, and respected. Etiquette, setting, and respected using your own word choices. Okay, here's some examples. And for your relationship starter, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about one idea about manners you have for a person in a social circle. So we've studied social circles every single day in this classroom. So we know what those are. And I want you to think about your social circles. Think about your stranger circle and your community helper circle and your acquaintances circle, like with teachers, and your friends and your family circles. Think about one manner you would need for each of those social circles. So this is what I said. I said for red or strangers, I could open a door. For my orange or community helpers, I could say thank you, okay? For my yellow, which could be my teacher or neighbor circle, I could talk politely. For my green friendship circle, I could listen while they talk. And for my family circle, I could help my brothers or sisters. I could help them with a task or chore, okay? Next time, we're going to describe concepts about etiquette. So we'll see you back tomorrow.